Well, hello there, good sir.
What's up, and welcome to the BenchWarmers podcast. I'm Riley,
And I am Brandon.
and today I think we're just going to be talking about the draft a little bit, going over it, giving our opinions on it. Go over, the best steals in it, and some of the worst picks. Does that sound good?
It sounds good to me. And, I'll tell you what, for as boring as the draft was leading up to it, this year I was actually found myself really uninterested. But during the draft itself, it definitely proved to be otherwise. It was very exciting. All the trades and all the surprising picks we had. And I don't even think there's no better place to start than Baker Mayfield at number one. How do you feel about that?
You know what? Everybody was just doubting the man leading up to the draft, and up until that very last second before he was taken, I'd been saying it. I've been saying Baker Mayfield should be number one. He has the extra experience because he started 6 years or he played 6 years in college, and he had the best arm accuracy out of everyone, and he has the killer instinct, man. He has that Mamba mentality.
No, yeah, for sure. I don't remember. I don't know if you remember when we first talked about it, but I told you my thoughts was that Baker Mayfield was the best quarterback in this draft. I told you about 2 weeks before the draft itself, maybe even longer than that. And I honestly believe it. You look at his, a lot of people will compare him to Aaron Rodgers in terms of how Aaron Rodgers, his attitude wasn't the most highly coveted thing, but ultimately look at where he is now. I'd argue that he's the best quarterback in the entire NFL.
Like if you
Unfortunately,
look at if you in my opinion, if you look at him, I think I see Drew Brees with the mobility of Aaron Rodgers, or Aaron Rodgers or like Tony Romo. They're able to move outside of the pocket. They aren't the most athletic specimen, but they can definitely get it done on their feet and make some big plays with their feet.
yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely, I agree with number one. I don't think it was a wrong pick. I think that if they would have picked Darnold, which the Jets ended up getting, which I think was an astounding pick for them,
Oh yeah.
he can sit behind, even Teddy Bridgewater or McCown for however long he needs to, and he can develop. But I think the highest upside definitely goes to Darnold. I think he can be the best. I mean, I don't know if you saw his pro day when he worked out in the rain, but I mean that was
Oh
something to
yeah,
watch.
he looked like a pro quarterback in that. And I don't think the Browns would have gone wrong with either of those picks. I just think based on their situation now with the moves that they've made this offseason, I think with Baker Mayfield you're going to see those wins go up earlier than you would with Darnold.
Yeah, I definitely argue that Baker Mayfield is going to be better off the get go than Darnold is. I 100% agree with that. But the real question we have to ask is number two, the Giants. Oof. No quarterback? How do you feel about
You know
that?
what? You know what? I think they're the Giants. They are going to stick with their win now mentality. There's a culture in New York on both teams, the Jets and the Giants, where they feel like they need to win because it's a huge market. If you aren't winning, your fans aren't interested, and that's just the way it is. The bigger the market, the shorter attention span of your fans. And with Saquon, they're going to see wins go up immediately. And that's just the way it is. It's the same thing we saw with the Cowboys getting Zeke a couple years ago. With that top running back, the ability to uh, open up the defense and allow your quarterback to have less attention on them because you're able to run the ball so well. It just diversifies your offense. And this is already the best running back Eli Manning has ever had.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think they did even better with they justified the pick even more by day two selecting Will Hernandez, and I think he's going to be a beast up front for them. So I could see why they didn't take a quarterback, but I mean, we both know how I feel about Eli Manning. I feel like he's done. I don't think he's got very
Yeah.
much left in the tank. But at the same time, how can you how can you not be good with Odell Beckham, Saquon Barkley, and even
And
Sterling Shepard? I mean,
Saquon
this
Barkley is a generational talent, I believe. I think he's better than Zeke was coming out of the draft. Will he be able to develop as much as Zeke, though? I don't know. But he's like Zeke without the off the field issues. That's my personal opinion. And like you said, the weapons on that offense are already there. If you put the right people around any quarterback, they can be successful. Like look at Rex Grossman in
get
2005.
Blake Bortles, dog. Blake.
Blake Bortles.
Yeah, no, Saquon, I mean, he seems like everything we've seen. Obviously, we don't know everything. I mean, he seems like, I mean, obviously, we see the tape. He's a great football player, but he seems like a great young man, to be honest. Like,
You know,
qualities are there. He
I think
seems,
I think that's the big thing about him. He has no blemishes off the field as we know of. Obviously, we don't have the inside scoop like some of these teams have, but if he's going at number two, there's probably nothing really big going on with him off the field.
that's how I'm feeling. And then, I personally, one of my favorite picks of the entire draft was Bradley Chubb at number five. I think
You know,
that was
they're
probably
going
the
back to their
smartest pick.
roots.
Yeah,
They're
I
going
mean,
back to their roots. When Von Miller and that defense were at their best, that was when That was when they had DeMarcus Ware on that
DeMarcus
other
Ware.
end. They were splitting up the offensive line between two sides, and they still got Derek Wolfe on the inside, and we've seen that he can be a great pass rusher as well. So they're just going back to what made them good a couple years ago when they won that Super Bowl, and I don't think there's any fault of this pick. Whenever Denzel Ward was taken number 4, they jumped right onto that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if we're being honest though, who would have not loved to see Chubb and Miles Garrett together,
It would have
dominating
been
quarterbacks for the next 10 years? That would have been something to see. But
it would have been something to see, but I can't fault the Denzel Ward pick.
I can't
The
fault it.
value the value of a number 1 cornerback in this league it's a luxury many teams do not have. Like if you can just slow down a team's number 1 receiver, and they're in a division with some of the best receivers in the league, Antonio Brown and AJ Green, and now they added Michael Crabtree. You need a guy like Denzel Ward who's athletic and physical, who can get up there with those big body receivers like AJ Green in the red zone. And I think based on the competition they're going to be seeing 2 times a year, this was a no-brainer. Obviously, Bradley Chubb would have been a lot more entertaining for the fans, but this is a necessity pick.
Yeah, I mean he's exactly what I think Hugh Jackson said in an interview. I mean he's a man coverage press cornerback, and that's exactly what they're going to need because the Browns are going to need time for their passers to develop. I mean they're going up against a pretty good AFC North, I'd argue. I mean obviously Joe Flacco isn't where he used to be, but Andy Dalton, when he has weapons around him, when everyone's healthy, he's a good quarterback, whether we like to say it or not. Now, come playoff time, it's different. Ben Roethlisberger, as much as he's going down, he's playing some of the best football of his career. And I mean, look at now the future that's going to happen. I mean, everyone in the AFC North drafted a quarterback except for Baltimore, or not Baltimore, but Cincinnati. And I think they actually did draft one in the seventh
Cincinnati
round.
did draft a quarterback in the later
In the
rounds.
seventh round, Logan Woodside. But I mean, Lamar Jackson. I mean, Mason Rudolph. I mean,
Those are 2 guys with very high ceilings.
that's the future for the AFC North. And I mean, a quarterback that's so a true cover quarterbacks are so rare in today's NFL. So I agree with it
Yep.
completely. But I would have loved to see Miles Garrett and Bradley Chubb
But
going
think
at
about
it.
this way: we're now going to be able to see Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, and I think that's even more exciting.
It's more exciting, but I mean,
You aren't going to be able to see it as long, but
yeah.
like I can't. Like I said, there's nothing that I can say that to put down that Denzel Ward pick. It just makes sense.
So, favorite pick of the first round for you?
Favorite pick of the first round for me, it's got to be Josh Rosen at number 10. They traded up to that number 10 pick and got their quarterback of the future. He's going to sit behind Sam Bradford for a year. That's what we think, at least. Obviously, Sam Bradford has injury issues, so who knows? But I think the Cardinals got themselves their franchise quarterback with that pick.
Yeah, you think there are 9 mistakes made ahead of him, as he so
I
famously
don't.
said?
I don't think there's 9 mistakes ahead of him. I think the whole top 6 picks were pretty on point. Quentin Nelson going to the Colts at 6. He was my number 1 player in the whole draft. But I think he was better than Mike McGlinchey. I don't think Josh Allen's a good quarterback. I think the Bills took a big L taking him over Josh Rosen. So I think the Cardinals made the right decision for their future right there. And they got the weapons right now to where if he does come in and play, he can do his thing in there. They just signed Justin Pugh, the guard from the Giants. He was there last year. And, they still have Larry Fitzgerald, though as old as he is, he's one of the better receivers in the league right now. And they drafted Christian Kirk. That team's got some that team's got some weapons, and they still got David Johnson. He's going to be coming back from that wrist injury.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, for me, the quarterbacks in order were Baker Mayfield, then Sam Darnold, then Lamar Jackson, and then Rosen, and then Allen. And I don't think you go wrong with Rosen at 10. Really, I mean, that's
Honestly,
the quarterback
give
for the
me
future.
Mason Rudolph. Give me Mason Rudolph over Josh Allen.
No, I wouldn't go that far, but
I would, man. You can't teach accuracy, and Josh Allen was playing subpar talent, and he still couldn't throw over 60%, and he had just about a 2-to-1 touchdown to pick ratio. That accuracy is not something that you can teach. There have been a billion strong arm quarterbacks taken in the high rounds in these last few years. Name one that's worked out.
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Like Paxton Lynch. I say Paxton Lynch and Josh Allen basically had the same scouting report.
Oh, I agree
Brock
completely.
Osweiler.
But I feel like
Brock
Josh Allen
Osweiler's another one.
a little more raw, and he could. I mean, he's going to be a project for sure. But I mean, I like him. His arm is insane. He's got a cannon for an arm, and I
I
can't
think he
fault
is the
him.
second strongest arm the NFL's ever seen already.
Yeah, I can't fault him for the
Brett
pick.
Favre's the only one.
But I mean, yeah, I would have taken Rosen over personally, but I see what Buffalo's doing there, so I can't fault them too much. But how about Davenport Saints
You know what? They traded up for
trading
him.
up?
I don't think they would have had the trade up for him. Like, unless the Raiders were going to pick him afterwards, I think they could have gotten away with holding off on that. Maybe trading up to, say, 19 or 18, because the Packers were moving around in this draft. Like, I'm just, I think it's a good pick. They got their guy to put beside Cameron Jordan. That's a 1-2 punch right there. That defense is on the up and up. They had arguably the best corner in the league last year. Now they got a brand new defensive lineman. They had somebody who was in the like Cameron Jordan was in the defensive player of the year talks for much of the year. Like up until the end, he was like top 5 for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good decision. I just think they could have waited on him.
Yeah, he's definitely like another one of those guys that you see is young and raw, but his upside is definitely insane. So I mean, I can't wait to see what they do with him. I know that the Saints are gonna have a lot of fun with him, but I think what we do need to talk about, and I think probably my least favorite pick of the first round is Colton Miller at 15 to the Raiders. I just think that was, I don't think that was very smart. I think they definitely reached. I think personally, I thought he was a second round talent. I don't see the technique in there for him. Uh, I don't know. Just the durability. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about a
Like
lot of it. So
he's an offensive lineman. He's an offensive lineman, and you can't put a value on protecting your quarterback. Like if I don't know, I didn't watch a lot of his film. I do know that UCLA had one of the better offenses in the NCAA.
I mean,
So I don't know how much he attributed to that,
yeah, I think
but
they're going to put him on the right side. Is what they're looking to do since they have Penn. But I mean,
well,
yeah.
Donald Penn just got assault allegations on him, so I don't know if he's going to be around next year.
He and his wife just actually released earlier today a joint
In
statement
other
saying it's
news,
false. Yeah, crazy. But yeah, no, my least favorite pick of the first round personally. I just don't like it. I don't think that it was that great, and I think they could have waited probably to the second or even traded down to get their guy and got some, more. But I guess it happens. So I mean, time will tell. Obviously, everyone's just shooting dartboards, and who am I to judge? A young man just starting his professional career. But yeah, personally, I don't like it. What I do like is
one pick that I got to give a ton of props to is the Panthers getting DJ Moore. He is my number one receiver in this entire draft, and he's got some talent. And Cam Newton now has a weapon better. Like my comparison for him, and I think most people's comparison for him is Steve Smith.
hmm
And they
no.
just got the Panthers just got another Steve Smith, man, and this kid's gonna go out there, he's gonna ball out, and I think that they got themselves one of the new better receivers in the league.
Oh yeah, he was definitely my number one receiver, and the crazy thing is he had 8 quarterbacks in his 3 years in Maryland, and he had 3 this year, I think it was, and he is still a beast. And I mean, that's crazy to me. You're on your third string quarterback, and you're still doing great things, being like the best receiver in the country. Like that's remarkable for me. So um, I think Steve Smith said this in the draft show. I mean, he
Just
can as much
it's
as
just adapt.
huh.
It's just adaptability. He's able to adapt to a situation, and when you have that many quarterbacks in that such a short amount of time, that just shows that you are mentally strong.
Exactly, and I agree with Steve Smith what he said during the draft show, and he said that he can actually run a lot of routes. A lot of people, I think, Mayock was saying that he's raw and he can only run a couple of routes. I think he can run the entire route tree if you watch his film more often. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
like
at the NFL level, he has some adjustment to do, and there's some refining to do. But I mean, he's rookie. That's what you do, and I think he can run every route as of right now, perfectly fine. And you
yeah.
know, I love it, but I think we do need to talk about is number 17, the Chargers got their guy all the way at 17. I don't
I
know
was a
how
little bit
Derwin
salty.
James. I don't know how he
I was a
fell
little
that
bit
far.
salty about that pick.
but I like him better than Minka Fitzpatrick personally, which is I mean,
All right, I like Minka more because of what Minka is. Minka's more of a coverage guy. He worked with Earl Thomas all off season. That just shows that he's already, he's already working with the best. He's learning from some of the greats. Derwin James, though, at 17, that might be the most valuable pick of this entire draft.
oh yeah, for
They
sure.
didn't have to do anything. They just sat there. He fell to them. I was so hoping he'd fall to two more picks to 19 for the Cowboys to get him, because I think without a doubt that would have been a
Oh, yeah.
scoop up. And he is going to be one of the most versatile defensive backs in the league.
Oh, for 100%. I mean, he can cover anyone on the field, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, that what we do need to what no one's talking about is how good this Los Angeles Chargers team and defense really is this year. I mean,
It all just comes down to health. That's been the one hurdle for them every year. Last year it was their offensive line. Years before that, their wide receiver core couldn't stay healthy. I think that they figured it out though. I think they got the right guys there. I think they have the right culture. Like they got weapons, man, on both ends of the ball. Like that is a very good group of defensive backs over there. They already have the best defensive line in the league in terms of just sheer numbers. I bet. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they put up some of the top numbers in sacks and tackles for loss last season.
no, yeah, I mean Bosa and I mean this Chargers defense is going to
Bosa,
be
Melvin
crazy.
Ingram, Luget, like it's scary. That's a scary team right there.
You want to buy or sell? Casey Hayward is the best cornerback in the entire league. How do you feel about that?
I'm buying. I am buying on that.
I'm gonna
He
agree with you.
statistically had a top 3 season for a cornerback ever last year on player and like a defensive and like his efficiency rating,
Mhm.
his Pro Football Focus thing.
Yeah,
It just showed everything for him, like all the analytics that went into him. He was stopping the best players in the league. He was completely shutting them down.
what's crazy is that he was completely underrated and undervalued, and no one really knew about this until pretty much the offseason with him and
Yeah,
Jalen Ramsey going back and forth. So
I bet you the Packers are wishing they had paid the man.
I just think he needed a new scenery, new scenery and all that. So, but speaking of Packers and cornerbacks, dang, Jerry Alexander
They
and
got their two guys.
I mean,
They
that's
had
crazy.
one of the worst defenses in the league, Jerry Alexander and Josh Jackson. Two guys put him on the ends. I think that defense is going to take the step up next year. I'm not sure how it's still going to play out for the whole team, but I think they made the good decisions with that. They made the trade that they did, and it set them up for some pretty good moves. They got their guys that they needed. It was obvious that they knew what they were doing. That's a very good managed team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd still. I mean, what's crazy to me is that NFC North is actually going to be really competitive next year. I got them finishing third as of right now. I got the Vikings finishing one, and then the Lions, and then the Packers, which is crazy for an Aaron Rodgers led team. But
Mm-hmm.
there's gonna even the Bears, man. The Bears are stepping up, and I mean the Bears. I don't know if you remember, but the first 2 games of the season, like they should have beat Atlanta.
Oh yeah, they should have beat Atlanta.
And
I wouldn't say they should have beat Atlanta. They were in that game until the very last minute.
they were winning the game. They literally they should have won that game. I'm going to say like there's no reason that they should not. And then they beat Pittsburgh. I mean, this Bears team is a a physical.
And now they have Roquan Smith.
Exactly. This is a physical and this is a passionate group that I mean, there's going to be some serious competition in that.
They've lived and they've died by the defense. They got a ton of weapons on offense now. They added Allen Robinson and Taylor Gabriel. They drafted that Miller guy from Memphis, and he was my third best wide receiver on the board. And they're just putting the right people around Trubisky. They already have Jordan Howard at running back. That offense could take the step up next year and be great.
I agree completely. And what you need to talk about as the saddest moment of my life in this draft was the Titans taking Rashawn Evans from my Pittsburgh Steelers. Oof.
I wouldn't say they took it from him. He would still have to fall down 6 picks.
Yeah, but still, I mean, if he was there, that was our guy. But I mean, Rashawn Evans, great kid. It seems like he's gonna be. I mean, he's gonna be great. He's right off the get go. He's start right there. I mean, that's a huge need for Tennessee is that linebacker position. So.
Oh yeah, that defense it's struggled for them a little bit, and I think they got a good guy for him. He's shown he can get it all done. He can make plays, and that's the biggest thing for linebackers. if they can make plays that change the course of the game, that just sets them apart. The one question I have with them, and we briefly touched on this earlier, is he is in college. He is surrounded by the best team in college sports. So will his success be able to translate to the NFL surrounded playing against better talent? Because he had Deron Payne and all these other guys that were just amazing on the same team with him, and I'm not saying I'm doubting his success. I think it makes sense that he fell as far as he did.
I mean, I don't know. I had him top 20 overall in this draft. I think watch his tape. I don't think, even with his surrounded, yeah, I would agree that he was the best team in college football, obviously. But, I mean, look at his tape. He is a force against that run. You just need to develop him and his coverage skills. I mean, he's going to be one of the best linebackers in the NFL.
I hope so. He's a great kid.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And then, speaking of great kids, man, Calvin Ridley, when he got drafted, that was emotional. That was
some good stuff, and he slid down. That weight had to be terrible for him. Going into the draft, a lot of people had him going top 15, and to just be hit by that weight, that has to be the worst thing, really. That just sitting there seeing everybody else's name get called. It must have hurt him so much seeing DJ Moore be taken by the Panthers ahead of him, because in his mind and a lot of people's minds, he was the best receiver in the draft.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I get what you're saying. I personally think that right where he went's perfect. I didn't in my mind he's not better than DJ Moore, but in general the receiver class just kind of slipped. I mean, no one really had
the receiver class was a little weak this year.
It was weak, but I mean, DJ Moore going all the way at 24, I expected him to go earlier.
I thought he was going to go 19 to the Cowboys, or I thought he was going to go to the Buccaneers. I thought the Buccaneers were going to trade back to 16 to the Bills. Yeah, that was my original guess.
But yeah, I mean, Calvin Ridley he's gonna be a good receiver, but I think that's perfect for him. I don't think he deserved to go any higher, to be honest, compared to everyone else. The biggest reach, I think, and later first round was Hayden Hurst, tight end of the Ravens. I don't think that was a good pick. I think there were better tight ends later.
He's definitely old for a rookie. He's 25 years old as a rookie. He is a pure athlete. The dude is easily the most developed receiver at the position. I feel like they could have waited into the second round. I don't think the demand behind that pick where they were at was very high for tight end, unless it was something like the Patriots. I feel like the Patriots would have maybe gone for Hayden Hurst. But, I think they got a weapon, man, and he's going to be successful for a long time in the league. Tight ends stick around for a while when they're good. And I watching him play, it's special. He's so fast. He's so physical when he plays.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it was the best pick for them at that point, considering there were guys like Calvin Ridley, and that team really needs a receiver. So I can't fault the pick as much as some people have been, but I do think there were better options.
Man, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Mark Andrews, who they drafted in the third round, might be a better tight end overall than him. So I don't like the pick in the first round. I think it was a reach. I get why they did it. I mean, they need weapons, especially at that tight end position. Yeah. But
yeah,
he's definitely a good football player. But I'm just questioning where they got him and how quickly it was. But I mean,
I think we need to talk about the Vikings taking the risk on Mike Hughes. He had some character issues going into the draft.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
like ESPN, their board of people with character issues got released, and he was one of the few names on the board. It was him, Baker Mayfield, Arden Key, and I forgot his name, but he was a defensive end somewhere.
But yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Is they got Trey Wayne, Xavier Rhodes, so I don't know where he's gonna play. If he's gonna play nickel or dime or whatever he's gonna do, but I mean, he's gonna be good.
For him.
Oh yeah, there's no way he doesn't get on the field. I mean, unless we see another Trey Wayne situation, but
yeah. This guy I think is a lot more developed than Trey Wayne's. The thing about Trey Wayne's when he was drafted was he was just drafted because of how athletic he was. Mike Hughes has shown he can be that top receiver, or top cornerback for a winning team. He was on UCF. That team was undefeated.
Yeah, national champions.
Yeah, and he made some huge plays for them. That defense at UCF was fun one to watch with Shaq Griffin and Mike Hughes. And I think the Vikings got a pretty valuable pick right there. I could have seen Josh Jackson going around there too. I had him in the first round. I'm not sure about you, but I think the Mike Hughes pick was solid.
Yeah, I originally had him in the first round, but once you started to see how the draft started to play out, and you don't see Mike Hughes go off the board until 30, obviously at that point, it's like, okay, well, he's not going in the first round.
Yeah.
But I guess it's only fitting that we started with one Heisman winning quarterback, and we got to end with another one, Lamar Jackson.
Yep, Lamar Jackson, he slid and slid. I remember thinking every pick coming up, like at whenever the Saints traded up to 14, I thought, okay, they're gonna get Lamar Jackson, sit him behind Breeze for a couple years. I thought the Packers were considering gonna getting Lamar Jackson. I thought the Cowboys would have gotten Lamar Jackson because there had been so much talk in the offseason about Dak on
Hmm.
the way out.
The
I thought at
Patriots.
oh, I thought the Bengals would. I thought the Patriots would at 23. That would have been perfect for them.
Baltimore's original pick. I thought they were going to
Yeah,
get
Baltimore's
that.
original pick 25. I had the Seahawks potentially taking him.
The Steelers.
Um,
I had
the
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 Steelers.
Jaguars,
I mean, to be
the
honest,
second Patriots pick, and then he went at 32 and the Ravens got a good pick there.
yeah,
Flacco's on the way out. He's old. As soon as that contract's up or as soon as they're in a position where they can buy him out for
after
an
this
affordable
year.
price.
After this year.
As
He,
soon as they're in a position where they could buy him out for an
yeah,
affordable price, I think
just
he's out
one
the
more
door.
year of Joe Falco.
The best quarterback in the league, Joe Falco.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, as soon as you see that a trade has happened, or that the trade got announced, I mean, at that point, everyone knew who it was, and what it was for, to get that extra fifth round protection for the
hmm
team. I mean,
And it was obvious they got the player they wanted.
exactly. And if you want to speak about watching everyone sit, how about Lamar Jackson having to wait the entire first round in that green room?
Oh yeah, that
That
painful.
you see people like Rashad Penny, and I mean, just
Like
first rounders that didn't deserve to be first round going ahead of you. I mean, he's gonna be he's gonna make everyone pay.
he's got a chip on his shoulder now.
I think
I don't,
he's
he
always
doesn't.
had a
I
chip
don't
on his
think he's got a.
shoulder.
I don't even think he's got a just one chip on his shoulder. I think he's got a whole potato chip bag on his shoulder now.
That was
He's
terrible.
wearing the bag. He's in the bag. He's going to come out there and he's going to prove his haters wrong. He's going to show he's not a wide receiver. He is a quarterback. And I think, Michael Vick said it himself. Michael Vick said he is me, but better.
But I mean, I guess that's the end of the first round. If you want to talk
That,
about
that's the first round for you.
that's I mean, interesting first round. Lots of quarterbacks, a deep quarterback class, and that you don't see another one
Yeah,
go until round three. But I can't. There's not too many things I didn't like about the first round. I think it played out
there
really
were there
nicely.
was a lot. It was a very eventful first round. There was a lot of movement. That's something we hadn't seen in a long time.
100%. I mean, leading up to the draft, the question was, how interesting is the draft going to be? Is all that
No, we
like
knew we knew teams were on the phones trying to make moves. We just didn't know the extent to it. I don't think anybody thought the Ravens were going to move as much as they did.
exactly. I mean, trading down and then trading back up. I mean, the Ravens, Ozzie Newsome, and I want to give a little shout out for his last draft ever as GM of the Baltimore Ravens. And I mean, I don't know if you watched his call to the seventh round, his last pick, seventh round pick. I forgot who they drafted, but I mean, that was emotional. I mean, think of the great things he's done. He is one of the best GMs of all time, and he's done great things for that. As much as it pains me to say, for that Ravens organization, but I mean, it's gonna suck to see
They've
him go at the end of this year. So, but I mean, what a last draft he did have. I mean, he is Ozzie Newsome all over that, trading, getting extra picks, getting value for those picks. I mean, this is
that
has
team's in a
Ozzie
good
Newsome
position.
all over it.
The team is in a good position for the future in one of the most competitive divisions in football. They're going to be competing for the next 10 years now with Lamar Jackson.
All right, so time to get into our second round. What's your favorite pick of the second round?
My favorite pick of the second round, it's got to be, all right, call me a homer, but I liked the Connor Williams pick for the Cowboys. I was a big fan of that, rebuilding that Great Wall of Dallas offensive line. They're going to play him at left guard. One thing that we've been missing was that complete offensive line, and it showed last year. Not having Ronald Leary or Doug Free really hurt us, and I think Connor Williams can be Ronald Leary but better. He was a first-round player on my board. I had him going over those two linemen who went to the Bengals and the Lions there in the later part of the first round.
Yes, I mean my favorite. I mean I have to go with two-way tie is Ronald Jones to the Buccaneers. I mean he's an explosive player. He's going to be great for that Buccaneers team. And then tie
Oh
for
yeah,
him is Cortland Sutton with the Broncos. I mean
Cortland
Demarius
Sutton is a
Thomas.
freak of nature.
Oh my goodness, he's
He
going to
is
be
a
good.
he is big, he is fast, but the one knock on him has always been he can't separate.
Hmm.
Which that's the reason I think the Cowboys strayed away from getting him is because you cut Dez. Now you want to go get Dez, somebody who could be Dez 2.0. I would not be surprised though if we're looking back 3 years from now, shaking our heads. All those teams
How
that
did he
passed up on
not go
Cortland
in the
Sutton in the
first
first
round?
round,
How did he not go in the
all of the
first round? Yeah.
all of those teams that drafted in the first round are just going to be are just going to be shaking their heads. And another receiver that went in the second round. We already talked about Christian Kirk earlier.
Uh-huh.
But Miller to the Bears, we mentioned him. I think that dude. He was my number 4 receiver, and he is fast. He's fast. He can run his routes. He's an underneath kind of guy, but he can go out and he can catch those contested balls.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, second round, I mean, not too much surprising. I like the Jesse Bates pick for the Bengals at I think it was either 23 or
I don't think either. I
22.
don't think either of us are a big fan of Darius Geist though to the Redskins.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I don't. I mean, character issues. I mean, I don't know. He's a fast physical runner, and he's either gonna make me eat my words or buy right into the stereotype that he's gonna be out of the league in 3 years. So, I mean, I don't really see him being like an average running back. I see him being literally a hit and miss pick, and
He is a
I'm gonna be
he is a
watching.
giant question mark.
No, yeah,
He's a
definitely.
giant question.
I can't fault the Redskins
Yeah,
for taking him. His tape is absolutely amazing, but I mean,
yeah. I don't think the culture of that locker room is something that can tie down a man like him, though.
exactly.
I think he's going to come in thinking he's the best player on that team immediately, and I think the big egos that are already on the Redskins are going to shut him up, and I don't think he's going to take it. I
Hmm.
wouldn't be surprised if we hear some stories of him getting into, some aggressive fights in the locker room.
Yeah, I agree. But then, how about Juju 2.0, James Washington, the Steelers select wide receiver after trading
James
my
Washington.
boy Martavis Bryant. I'm holding his jersey right now. Man.
I like James Washington. You know what? You pair up Mason Rudolph and James Washington together. They're both successful.
I mean,
A couple years from now, when Mason Rudolph's handed the keys to the castle, we might.
yeah. I mean, completely. I mean, what Ben and AB have, I think that's going to be James Washington and Mason Rudolph. Hopefully in the future. I mean, what a story that was to see them both go to the same team, quarterback and number one receiver. I mean, that was great.
They're keeping that chemistry, and that's one of the most important things in this league: chemistry.
100%. I mean, you see that with Big Ben and Antonio Brown right now. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're,
you
they're like
can't
family. You
exactly.
know,
You can't tell me a better quarterback wide receiver combo in terms of that chemistry.
like maybe the only one that could have been close was Jordy and Aaron Rodgers. We saw how mad Aaron Rodgers was when he got the news that Jordy had been traded. He went straight to the front office and asked for more say in what moves went down.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
Then,
that's something huge. I think that's something that is invaluable.
mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah, no. I personally, I feel like Jordy Nelson's not going to do very good for the Raiders. I think he's a tad bit overrated, but we'll save that for another discussion. Round three. Ooh.
Round 3. The Ravens did it again. Another round that they had 2 amazing picks, in my opinion. They got Orlando Brown, the tackle from Oklahoma. He's weak. He's unmotivated, but if they can get that dude interested in football, he could be one of the best players at that tackle position in the league. He's just so big and strong.
Yeah,
And then Mark Andrews, tight end from Oklahoma. You said he's better than Hayden Hurst.
I think overall he is.
They
To
got them
be
both.
honest,
So
exactly.
you can't go wrong.
I mean, I think it's interesting though as to how they did double dip in tight ends. I mean, you don't see that very often, just
You
because
know,
of the struggles
teams
that
have been
rookie tight ends
successful
can
with that.
have. Just I mean, you see
Teams
that.
have been successful with those 2 tight ends. You saw Gronk and Aaron Hernandez in New England. It's not something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, but rookie tight ends. I mean, history shows us that they struggle and they struggle a lot. So
Yeah, and they're both going to be just thrown in. They're just going to be
Exactly.
thrown to the Sharks.
Exactly. And the other notable third round picks, I like Justin Reed of the Texans, him and the Honey Badger. I think that's going to be a
Hmm.
great safety backfield.
Malik Jefferson to the Bengals.
Malik Jefferson, that's a great pick. I mean, personally, not to be biased, but Mason Rudolph, I mean, to get him in the third round, that's a
Oh yeah,
steal.
he was a second round fringe first rounder, and that's something that like we talked about. He's a great player. Like
Yeah.
I think he's better than Josh Jackson. You think he's close, I believe.
Hmm.
A very interesting pick is Arden Key. If Arden Key wasn't addicted to marijuana or whatever, he would have been a first round pick. He's one of the best pass rushers in this whole entire draft.
I mean, speaking of all that, how about the Raiders? I mean, they took a lot of question mark guys this draft, for being
They traded for
honest.
Switzer. They traded for Ryan Switzer. They got my
Trade,
boy, all right?
I mean, they traded for Switzer, but they took Key, they took Maurice Hurst later on, and I'll get to that pick later
Yep.
because I think that's probably one of the best steals of the draft. But he's a question
Oh yeah.
mark with that heart injury. I mean, there's a lot of guys that you look at and you're just like these guys can be completely like just complete busts. So, but yeah, I mean,
You know, Arden Key reminds me a lot of Randy Gregory. They were both considered first round guys,
hmm
but that marijuana just kept them on the sideline. And as soon as they have that little tag by their name that they might have a drug problem, they're going to be drug tested like every other week.
hmm
So it really just comes down to mental power. And I think Arden Key putting himself in rehab before the draft, that was a really good move by him to show that he is committed to football more than he is to this drug.
Another third round pick I liked was Ronnie Harrison, Alabama. I mean, he fell. I
Oh
think
yeah.
he has early second round talent all over him, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
he falls. And I don't know why. I don't know if there's something wrong with him that I missed, but I mean, he can cover tight ends, and he's gonna be a big, strong guy. But other than that, I don't think there's very much else in the third round to talk about. I mean, a lot of these guys I either haven't watched or I don't know too much about, so I don't want to
Like I can
comment on
talk
their
a little bit
future.
about the Cowboys pick Gallup. Gallup's big, strong, fast. He can run a couple routes. He's going to come in, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in and ends up being the number one receiver game one.
Poor man's DJ Moore is what I saw tweeted
That
whenever.
that's a solid comparison.
That's what I saw whenever I saw someone tweet
He's
that.
physical. He's athletic. He can get the job done. It really just comes down to how well are the Cowboys going to utilize him, because it looks like they're just going to go back to the bread and butter, run the ball 40 times a game, make Zeke retire by the age of 30.
All right, let's
All
head
right.
into the fourth round.
I think we need to start off with Kiki Cootie, Texas Tech wide receiver to the Texans. I love him. He is such a good player, man. And I think the Texans got themselves a guy who's going to be around for a while.
Personally, I don't think you need to go very far to talk about the best pick in the fourth round. You look at Ian Thomas, Carolina Panthers tight end. He's going to be a great tight end. I mean, he gets to sit behind Greg Olson, and he gets to contribute early. And I
Oh, yeah.
think he's definitely going to be Carolina's number one tight end, if not just as good as Greg Olson one day. I love the pick in the fourth round. Fell right to him. So
Oh, yeah. The Panthers are one of those teams that just, they hit on all cylinders this draft. I was a big fan of, what they did to just – they were behind. I think that's without a doubt. They were definitely behind when it comes to some of those things like depth and having that star power. And they definitely got those guys to put around Cam Newton to make that team, one of the top offenses again.
yeah, no, another pick I liked was Deshaun Hamilton to the Broncos, which I don't know why they're taking so many receivers. I get Demarius and Emmanuel on the decline, but I mean, this guy's going to be a great receiver. I had third round talent on him, even as high as second round. And,
I,
I
I've seen him
think,
go. I've seen him in third round. I consider him more of a early fourth rounder than
yeah,
a mid fourth rounder, which is where he ended up going.
yeah, he went on the earlier side, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
No, that was definitely a good pick for them, though.
Yeah, 100%. Other than that, I don't think there's very, very much other picks that I was so much in love with. I like Josh Sweat, the Philadelphia Eagles. I think even though they didn't have their picks from Carson Wentz trades and all that and other moves they made, I think
Yeah,
Sweat's I think he's a great player, and I
I,
think he's going to fit in
I
well.
think I think it's interesting that the Cowboys drafted Dalton Schultz. Jason Witten announcing his retirement. Um, I I don't think that was really a logical move for them, considering I think they could have waited on him.
I think that was a impulse
I think
pick.
that was a
That was a
desperate.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was desperation.
yeah. I agree. I think they got hit with the news and they're like, oh, we need to replace Jason Witten
Yeah.
right away. But at the
No, it
same
makes
time,
sense.
I think the Cowboys got better without Jason Witten. They could
Jason
run a
Witten
fast pace
gives the
offense.
offense more options because Jeff Swaim and Rico Gathers, the guys that we already had at tight end, they're both way more athletic than Jason ever was. Jason has never been fast. He's always just fundamentally sound. And I think with guys like Rico Gathers and Jeff Swaim and the tight end we just drafted, I think that really opens up the field for us. We could be running fade routes to the tight ends now. We saw some of that with Escobar. Whenever we had him, he was a lot more athletic for a tight end,
Yeah.
and it gave the offense more options. And I won't say we're better because the leadership Jason Witten brought to the table, it's invaluable. But I can't say that I'm unhappy he retired.
Yeah. All right, and then round 5. And before we get into the love story of Shaquem, I just want to start off with
Shaquem Griffin.
Maurice Hurst, which I think is one of the more interesting stories.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, the fall is insane. I think what ended up coming out is that he had a heart problem. But I mean,
Yeah, and
the Raiders got a heck
got
of a player.
He's got a lot to overcome. He's got a lot to overcome in a short amount of time. The window on rookies, especially when they're drafted in the 5th round, they don't have a lot of wiggle room. They need to come in and show that they deserve to be on the team quick. And if he's having those health problems,
Yeah, no, obviously it's a concern, but I mean, I think he's gonna do just fine. I think he's a heck of a player, like I said, and I think he can be the steal of the entire draft.
yeah, definitely could be. Though moving on, Shaquem Griffin's possibly in the same boat. He could be one of the most interesting players in league history.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, everyone knows the story by now, but from the combine and all that. But he's more than just a story. He's a football player and damn good one.
What he has, his disability, his not having a hand. Because of not having a hand, he's the perfect tackler, and that's just what it is. He cannot afford to hand tackle. He has to take you down. He has to hit you perfect form. He always does. He hasn't shown a reason he shouldn't have been a first-round pick. If he had 2 hands, he would have been a top 15 pick. And I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, and how about reuniting his brother in Seattle? I mean, I think they drafted the cornerback. I forgot his first name, but 4th round last year. And this is a great story.
Shaquille Griffin.
Yeah.
And if you saw that whenever they got the call, man, that was that was great.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good stuff, and I'm really happy for them. The Seahawks got themselves a franchise player.
Speaking of Seahawks picks in that 5th round, Michael Dixon, punter, Texas. How about him? I think he's gonna, for as far as punters go, he's gonna be as great as they can. So.
Oh, watching this dude punt, I've never seen somebody other than like Johnny Hecker make a punt look interesting. It's just so weird.
Yeah. No.
I believe Dixon said he should have been MVP for the Big 12. I think there's one game he had 5 punts inside 5-yard line.
Yeah. He's something else. No, let's see.
He's a freak of nature in the weirdest way possible.
Oh, another pick I liked in this 5th round was the inside linebacker the Browns got from Memphis. I wanted the Steelers to get him, but he ended up going Avery. I forgot what his first name is. I can look it up real quick. Gennard, I don't know how to say his name, but Avery, Memphis. I mean, he has some great tape that I love watching. So,
I think one of the better picks in this round, in my opinion, was I already apologize for messing up this name. The Rams got him Obo Okoronkwo.
Oh, yeah, he's a steal. He's a steal.
He's going to come in, replace Robert Quinn immediately.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely a steal.
He's an athlete, man.
I mean, not to be too much of a homer because I can bag on these guys just as much as I praise them. But Jalen Samuels, running back, the Steelers are not taking. I mean, coming into the draft, a lot of questions of where he would play. Tight end, people said he's too short for that. Fullback doesn't have the experience, doesn't be good enough blocker, a
Hmm.
willing blocker. Running back just hasn't played, doesn't have experience in the running back field or like a wide receiver. But I think he's NFL ready to come in and be a compliment, give the Steelers another dimension, just like the Patriots have been doing with Deion Lewis. And I think the Steelers have another dimension with this guy, out of the backfield, catching passes, playing in the slot. You
Yeah,
know,
he could be like the 49ers. 49ers went out and got their fullback, and they play him everywhere.
yeah, I think
I'm
this
blanking on
guy's
his
gonna
name
be
right now.
great.
But like that's a very similar situation with him.
Is it Juice Check? Is that what you're talking about? They have Juice Check.
Yes, Kyle Juszczyk. Yeah. Another thing that's interesting to note is two other fullbacks went this round to the Packers and the Raiders. Or
Oh,
punters. Did I
really?
say punters or fullbacks?
You said fullbacks.
Okay, yeah, it's punters. My bad.
Oof. Um, who'd the Raiders get?
The Raiders.
Oh, I
Raiders got
know. Well,
Johnny
I know they got.
Townsend.
I know J.K. Scott went. He's pretty good. I think the kicker went this round too. The Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings did get a kicker.
Special teams. And let's.
Yeah, it's an important part of the game. Punters are people too, man.
That's true. Sixth round. Here we go. I
All
mean,
right, sixth round.
I didn't even see that many notable people. I mean, out of the
Yeah, I'm
sixth
looking
round.
through right now. I'm just trying to see anybody that jumps out to me.
Someone that did go that I
Oh,
actually liked originally without even having to look is Russell Gage. I think he went to the Falcons somewhere in the 20s. Um, I think he's. I mean, he's just straight up athlete, and I think he can. He's going to be a great special teamer. That's what's going to keep him on the roster, and I think he can develop and actually become a weapon on offense. He can use his. I mean, he's a gifted athlete, and he can use that on the offensive field. So I'm excited to see what the Falcons can do with him. So that's
another
one.
wide receiver that went in this round that I was very high on, Cedric Wilson from Boise State. He went to the Cowboys. I
Hmm.
had him as a fourth round player. I think they got a big steal with him. He's athletic, he's fast, he can run those routes. The big thing with him is I think his ability to release off snap from the cornerback and catching traffic. I think those are his big things. But I had him as a fourth round grade. I think he's a raw prospect. But he's paired up with his teammate from Boise that they got in the first round, Leighton Vander Esch. So that's the offense defense chemistry right there. And as soon as that pick happened, Leighton tweeted out saying it's a dream come true. So those guys are really good friends. So
Yeah.
I think that was a steal for the Cowboys right there.
Another pick I liked, and I think I touched on this earlier with you, is Luke Falk. I think he's the best late round day three quarterback we have, and
Oh yeah,
he's going to be
definitely.
nice. And I mean, what the coincidence? 199, the same exact spot as Tom Brady.
Yep.
Like, I mean, that's expectations for you. Which I mean, you hate to see a young guy, especially drafted day three, have that many expectations. But I think he has the ability to.
You
Uh,
know, he's in a situation. I think he might be in one of the better situations for him. Mariota, there's a lot of people out there who think he's a bust. I think the rope on Mariota is a little bit short right now, and I think given the situation, if the Titans have a rough start, if Luke Falk has a really good preseason, we may see Luke Falk play a game this year.
Oh yeah, he's definitely the backup going in. I forgot who else they have, but the question is for the Titans is who will use the backup. I think they got Gabbert, didn't they, this free agency? But the question was
I don't remember.
who is going to back up Mariota because Mariota is so injury prone that whenever Mariota went down, they all went down. Like there was nothing they
Oh
could
yeah.
do. But I mean, obviously, you like to see a little bit more arm strength and more mobility. But I mean, this guy's a leader on the field, and he's pretty accurate. So I can't wait to see. I think he's going to be pretty solid. Maybe not, as far as the top six or top five quarterbacks we're talking about, but I think he's going to be pretty solid.
I think one of the big steals that I missed in my first, when I was first looking through this, Deshaun Elliott, the safety from Texas, he's got big play capability, and he can come up and he could even play in that at linebacker. He's 6'1", 210 pounds. He's a big dude at that safety position. He's athletic, and he made a lot of big plays for Texas on a team that really wasn't that good defensively. They had
Hmm.
two guys on defense, and that's it. And he showed that he was a good player. I thought he'd be more of a fifth rounder than he was a sixth. I think that was a really good pick. And again, the Ravens making a good pick with that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And now, last but not least,
Seventh round.
seventh round. Who you like here?
Um, there's nothing really jumping out at me. Bo Scarborough, Alabama running back.
I love that
He's
pick.
I'd say
Yeah.
he's probably the biggest name out of everybody taken
How about the
in the
Patriots
seventh
getting
round.
getting their next Tom Brady, huh? Danny Etling finally the quarterback, first pick of the seventh round. Not much to say
He's got
except for
some
that's a
big
joke.
shoes to fill, but he's an LSU quarterback. I cannot think of one good LSU quarterback, so
Ah,
I
kicker
can't think of
love.
one.
I see the Dolphins good kicker. So
The
there's
Dolphins
that.
got a kicker.
Yeah, I don't think that there's
Yeah.
anything else. Dolphins of the Super Bowl. You heard it here first, folks.
Hey, you know what? In the '80s, a kicker was MVP. We're gonna see that again.
Yeah. All right. I mean,
Yeah,
so let's hear final
and
opinions. Your favorite draft.
I think both of us can agree the Ravens
Uh,
easily stood out this draft.
yeah,
They made a lot of good decisions for them.
I think.
I don't think they really took any huge risks. I guess Hayden Hurst, and you know what? Hayden Hurst is the worst pick in terms of position for
Hmm.
them. But
Yeah,
even then, I don't think that was a terrible pick.
I think the
He's a
best
very talented
division-wide
player.
draft is definitely the AFC North. I mean, we look at Baltimore,
Yeah, AFC North showed out in this draft.
Cleveland with all the picks that free
Hmm
my dude Sashi that he got him. I mean, that they had a great draft. Cincinnati,
Yeah.
I don't think we talked enough about how. I mean, I love every pick they made. I think they have four starters day one.
Cincinnati. Like you said, they got four starters now. They filled their needs, and I think that's something that really goes unnoticed in these drafts.
Exactly.
Is
I mean,
you know,
Billy Price in the
like they
first.
they took a lineman in the first round that goes
Hmm.
unnoticed, but he's a solid player. They got the Cowboys offensive line coach, and they're gonna make it. They're gonna make a good player out of him, man.
Exactly, and I mean, again, adding on is Jesse Bates. I mean, I love Jesse Bates coming out of Wake Forest. I think he's going to be a great safety. Sam Hubbard, he looks like he's going to be great. And Malik Jefferson, man, I think you were the first person to put me on him a long
I
time
thought
ago.
about a month ago, I thought he was gonna be a first rounder.
Yeah, he's his tape is nice. His tape is very nice.
He can cover the entire field from edge to edge, and you know what? Whenever Vontez is suspended for accidentally knocking the helmet off of some Saints or off of some Steelers player, he's gonna go in and be a good starter.
I think he's already suspended. I'm not gonna lie, I think he's suspended,
I'm
man.
not surprised.
Let's see, and then what other team do we not? Oh, and then obviously you have the Steelers draft, and I think that
The Raiders made a lot of ballsy picks, but
the
I don't
Raiders
think
are definitely. I
they're
mean, they fill
the
all their
Raiders might have the
needs.
biggest the biggest
Hmm.
the biggest ceiling, the highest ceiling out of anyone.
Yeah. I mean, well, time will tell. I don't. I mean, pick teams I don't like the Bills. Um, I really don't like the Bills and what they did. I
Yeah,
really,
not a huge fan.
yeah, I'm not really feeling the Choice draft either.
I'm
Um,
not really feeling the Saints draft.
how about that questionable trade up move? But I mean, they got their guy, and you can't fault a team for believing in a guy that much. So,
Yep.
um, but yeah, I mean,
Anything else you'd like to
no,
cover?
not really. Overall, I mean, it was a great draft. I loved. It was exciting to watch. I mean,
This draft didn't let us down, and that's for
it
sure.
didn't. It definitely didn't. I mean, there's picks in day three that are going to go into their respective teams and have a chance to compete and start. So I think that's. I mean, it's
So,
great to see.
what do you think the chances are of this going down as possibly one of the most memorable drafts ever?
I think it all depends on how these top six quarterbacks go. I think
Because
they make or
want to
break
know
this
what this draft
draft.
is very reminiscent of to me?
Hmm.
A draft with Elway and Marino, man.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell, but I think the fate goes up to these top six. I'll include my boy Mason in there. These top six quarterbacks and how what they do. If let's see at least 4 out of 6 of them do great, then I think this draft goes down as far as everyone else holding their abilities, which I think they will. This draft goes down as one of the best, but it definitely was an under the radar draft, and I think you saw that leading up is that there wasn't much talk about it, and all of a sudden now everyone's like, "Oh my God, Saquon Barkley! Oh my God, Bradley Chubb! Oh my God, Denzel Ward! Oh my God, Quentin Nelson!" But like, we'll see. I mean, this is interesting. I can't wait to look back on this draft. I can't wait to see how everyone does year one, and then to see all the redrafts come out. Those are always fun to watch. So
Yep. We'll definitely
we'll
be on
see
top of that, though.
for sure. All right, man. Well, anything else you'd like to add before we say adios?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a blast talking about the draft. I wish we could go more in depth to every team, but fortunately, we just don't have the time for that. So, but yeah, I mean, I had a
Yep.
blast. Thanks very much for talking about football with me.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say?
All right, no problem, man. It was fun. Nope. We'll catch all the listeners here later, man.
All right. Thanks for listening. Toodles.
Bye.